Hello, this is BBC Newsline. I'm Lindsay Telford. Tonight's top stories. A retired Presbyterian minister calls for the moderator to resign now over the safeguarding failures that led to him stepping aside 3 days ago.
Why wait to the end of November? People are wobbling. Their confidence in the church has been shaken right to the very core.
A woman in an employment tribunal has failed to have the judge and panel members removed from the case. These colourful puffins have returned to nest on a small County Antrim island for the first time in decades. One of Ireland's oldest newspapers, the Down Recorder, has closed after almost 200 years in print.
Yeah, it's very sad for the town. This town grew up on that paper. It's terrible, sad, because I buy the paper every week.
And a makeup artist from the Brandywell, who's a Big Brother finalist, is doing Derry proud. So says her mum.
I know I'm going to see her tonight no matter what. And she's also turning 21 tonight. So it's just going to be a great night to remember forever.
I'm in Slovakia for Northern Ireland's World Cup qualifier. Join me for all the big match build-up, and we'll reflect on the Republic of Ireland's shock win against Portugal last night.
Hello and welcome to the programme this Friday, the 14th of November. A retired minister in the Presbyterian Church is calling for the moderator to go now, rather than wait until the end of the month. The Reverend Trevor Gribben announced his resignation on Wednesday after serious and significant failings in safeguarding in the church were uncovered. Now, safeguarding experts say an independent inquiry is needed into what went wrong. Catherine Morrison reports.
48 hours ago, a shock resignation.
I've decided it would be best at this time for me to step aside from my current role.
It came after serious and significant failings in safeguarding were uncovered. The years affected 2009 to 2022. The moderator, the Reverend Trevor Gribben, said he will step down at the end of this month. But one former minister said he should go now.
Somehow I'm inclined to think that if he felt it was important to step down, why wait to the end of November? People are wobbling with faith issues, with belief issues, and with their confidence in the church has been shaken right to the very core.
A spokesperson for the Presbyterian Church in Ireland said Reverend Gribben had made his statement and he had nothing else to add. Since the announcement on Wednesday, the church has faced growing questions over the nature of the safeguarding failings. Experts believe the church needs to throw open its doors.
They need to then get some external advice as to how to deal with child protection or vulnerable adult issues, because they clearly need support and help to do that. And thirdly, they probably need some external help, like a panel of experts to help them set up a new governance system, a system that people can have confidence in, a system that victims could have confidence in.
Jim Gamble is carrying out a review into safeguarding in the Church of England.
The church cannot be allowed to treat this as one or two isolated incidents. You've got a 10-year period of time where there's been an absence of serious incident reporting, while critical issues have manifested in church congregations that haven't been dealt with properly. So there needs to be a fundamentally independent review of this. It needs to be staffed by people who know what they're doing, who know what they're looking for.
This is a story that crosses the border and congregations. So far, it's raised many questions about what has happened. And those sitting in church services across the island this Sunday will be looking for answers. Catherine Morrison, BBC Newsline.
A judge has dismissed accusations of alleged bias in relation to panel members at an employment tribunal case between the Belfast Film Festival and former employee Sarah Morrison. Ms Morrison left her job as Inclusion and Audience Development Coordinator, saying she was unlawfully discriminated against because of her beliefs. Earlier today, Ms Morrison's legal team launched a recusal application, asking the judge and two panel members to stand down. Bernie Allen was listening to proceedings.
Sarah Morrison says she was forced out of her job after she joined a rally for Let Women Speak in 2023. The festival launched an investigation into her attendance and she left work citing stress before finally resigning. Today was day 5 of an employment tribunal between the festival and Sarah Morrison. Her legal team launched a recusal application asking the judge and 2 panel members to stand down. Miss Morrison's barrister Naomi Cunningham told the tribunal that one of the panel, Professor Deborah Boyd, was a former director of a women's organisation that held a firm view that was adverse to the claimant Sarah Morrison. The fact that Professor Boyd didn't bring it to the attention of the parties is concerning, she told the tribunal. She also said that Professor Boyd had taken steps to reduce her online presence to make it more difficult to make an application of this nature. It's Miss Morrison's view that a person cannot change their biological sex. She claims in her case, which has received funding from the author J.K. Rowling, that she was unlawfully discriminated against by the organisation over her beliefs on sex and gender. A barrister for the festival, Sean Doherty, told the tribunal that he thought the application was staggering. He said the irony is that the claimant in this case is saying she was silenced by people making incorrect assumptions about her views. And here we have an application to silence this panel based on speculation about their views. Mr. Doherty said the actual bias had not been established. He said the application was made on the flimsiest of evidence and a few selective screenshots from the social media profile of Professor Boyd that shows she endorses Pride and she is fully entitled to do so. He said this is not evidence of predetermination of any sort. Judge Sturgeon refused the request and the 3rd panel member, Professor Deborah Boyd, voluntarily asked to step down from the panel for health reasons. In her closing remarks, the judge said the tribunal will continue on Monday with 2 panel members. Bernie Allen, BBC Newsline.
Now, for nearly 200 years, this weekly newspaper has been part of the fabric of the area it served. The Down Recorder began printing in 1836. But this week, the last ever edition of the paper was published. It's been described as a bitter blow to local media. Our reporter Claire Graham has more.
Printing for 189 years. The Down Recorder has reported stories from local towns and villages, from Cumber to Newcastle, Castlewellan to Downpatrick, where its offices are based.
It's terrible, sad, because I buy the paper every week.
I didn't know it was going to end very soon, did I?
One staff member at the family-owned paper told BBC News NI they were gutted and it had come as a shock.
Only recently they did a piece for me here about 2 or 3 weeks ago, so it's going to be very sad. People will miss it.
I had bought it for the shop as well, and all the regulars would be coming in, reading the Down Recorder and creating conversation and having a chat about it all and about the local stories. But it'll be sadly missed.
Local newspapers have faced challenges from online platforms in recent years.
People will really miss that weekly update, but I do think that it is a reflection of the times. People are no longer purchasing papers, they're going online to get their information, and I think that means that we just lose a little part of our community whenever these publications close down.
One of the oldest surviving newspapers on the island of Ireland. Breaking news for the final time. Claire Graham, BBC Newsline.
Now, you might associate this colourful little bird with Rathlin, but another tiny island off the coast of County Antrim could become a new haven for the puffin. They've been spotted nesting on the Isle of Muck off Isle of Magee for the first time in decades. A camera set up as part of a conservation scheme to get rid of rats caught them coming in and out of their burrow in spring. Here's our agriculture and environment correspondent Louise Cullen.
Once thought a myth on Muck, puffins are once again a reality. This pair were caught on a camera set up as part of a rat eradication project, and the conservationists behind it are delighted.
There were reports of puffins breeding maybe 50, 60 years ago, and it was all anecdotal. So to see them last year on the island and then to have evidence of breeding this year is absolutely amazing. It's amazing for the Isle of Muck and for Ulster Wildlife as an organisation and the members who support us. and a big thing for our nature reserves team and the volunteers, because it's a big group effort. But for Northern Ireland as well, I mean, it's another site for puffins, and there's not that many, and it is a threatened bird.
Each lifelong pair of puffins produce just one chick in spring before returning to sea for winter. This species is at risk of extinction, with the threats it faces from climate change, rising sea temperatures and habitat loss. All that makes successes like this, and the potential for breeding, even more important.
To have puffins and have signs of them breeding, but to actually have pufflings next year, it's something that, something I'm really looking forward to, and it really will be a dream come true.
Removing rats from the island has been key, along with putting sheep on to graze it and reduce hiding places for rodents. It's been based on successful invasive species eradication projects like Life Raft on Rathlin. And here, as there, it's about more than puffins.
There's several species that have benefited from the project. So the puffin is the ultimate dream, but there's so many other species here that have done well, like kittiwakes and fulmars and guillemots. So it's a real nice package of a thriving island of seabirds.
All eyes are now on next spring and hopefully the Isle of Muck's first confirmed puffin chicks of this century. Louise Cullen, BBC Newsline.
And you can find out more on this story right now on our website or by downloading the BBC News app. Tomorrow marks the 40th anniversary of the signing of the Anglo-Irish Agreement, which was considered by many to be a key moment in the peace process. It gave Dublin a consultative role for the first time in the affairs of Northern Ireland. In return, the Irish government accepted that any change to the constitutional status could only happen with the consent of the majority. The agreement triggered a massive unionist backlash, leading to the famous Never Never speech by Ian Paisley. Our political editor, Enda McClafferty, reports.
It was a political game changer in Anglo-Irish relations when London and Dublin, for the first time, agreed in writing to closer cooperation over Northern Ireland.
I went into this agreement because I was not prepared to tolerate a situation of continuing violence.
Nationalists can now raise their heads, knowing that their position is and is seen to be on an equal footing with that of members of the unionist community.
It was a big step for both governments, with Dublin accepting that any change to the constitutional status of Northern Ireland would only happen with the consent of the majority. In return, the Irish government was given a greater say in Northern Ireland affairs. That, for unionists, was the ultimate betrayal.
We say never! 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 Never!
The message was clear, and so too was the anger on the streets. Much of it directed at the then Secretary of State, Tom King. Republicans too considered the Anglo-Irish Agreement a sellout because for them it copper-fastened partition. But there's no denying the agreement signed 40 years ago tomorrow marked a major milestone in Anglo-Irish relations and laid the foundations on which much of the peace process was later built. Enda McClafferty, BBC Newsline.
Now, for those of you who haven't been following this year's Big Brother, this is 20-year-old Jenny Baird. She's a makeup artist from the Brandywell, and she is, according to her mum, doing Derry proud. She was one of 17 people to enter the Big Brother house in September, and she has made it all the way to tonight's final. Will she be crowned the winner? We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, here's Rory O'Reilly.
What's the crack? My name is Jenny and I'm 20 years old and I'm from Derry.
From the Brandywell to the most famous house on reality TV, Jenny Baird has certainly been making her mark.
I think we've spent £300 easy.
Jenny, you have spent £422.88. You're nearly £80 over budget.
Oh my God, right, okay. Oh, what am I going to do, Big Brother?
Her mum and best friend have travelled to England for the final and said Jenny wouldn't have made it this far without the support of her local community.
There's thousands and thousands of people texting me to say that they have her back, that they're voting for her. And I mean, it was clear to see she has survived 2 double evictions in 1 week. Yeah. So it's the people from Derry that's keeping her there, for definite.
And for the people of Derry, there's no doubt she's doing the city proud.
There's a buzz in the city and a buzz in this particular area. People are just saying, wow.
Isn't this fantastic that someone from our local community is able to go on and make a success in a major production in television?
She deserves it all, so she does. She's just a wild good girl, you know. And see how she is in Big Brother House, that's how she is. She just says it how it is. She's just genuine. And we are lured for her, aren't we? We are buzzing.
And whether she wins or not, her mum says it will be a special night regardless.
I know I'm going to see her tonight no matter what. And she's also turning 21 tonight. So it's just going to be a great night to remember forever.
Rory O'Reilly, BBC Newsline.
A special night indeed. Now, fundraising is continuing throughout today for children in need. Among those taking part are children at Castle Tower School in Ballymena, which caters for children with special educational needs. Our reporter Kevin Sharkey has been to the school to hear about their fundraising efforts.
Well, there's certainly a lot more fundraising taking place in so many different locations all across Northern Ireland today, in workplaces, among groups of friends, and in schools like here in Ballymena. And Alec, well, every penny and every pound counts.
Yes, absolutely. We've had lots of things going on all week, actually. We've got a Pudsey-themed disco on today. We have a non-uniform today. We've had treasure hunts today. This week we've had colouring-in competitions and a donut sale as well. So, yeah, every penny counts, and everyone's been really enjoying making the contribution, every penny towards the big total at the end.
Yeah, and the money flowing into the school all week?
Absolutely, yes. And the children are still having lots of fun, and there's still a good part of today to go.
Yes, and no doubt in of itself, children in need is so very important for so many groups and organisations all across Northern Ireland. But when you come to a school like this, on a day like this, at a time of so much trouble and strife in so many other parts of the world, very often including children, well, hope rises again. Kevin Sharkey, BBC Newsline in Ballymena.
To sport now, and there's an exciting night of international football ahead. Stephen Watson is live for us in Slovakia.
Yes, thank you very much. We are just under an hour away from kick-off here for Northern Ireland's World Cup qualifier against Slovakia. The match you can see live on BBC 2, BBC 3 and on the BBC iPlayer. Now, Northern Ireland need to secure a draw or better tonight to make sure that they have a World Cup playoff place to play for when Luxembourg come to Belfast on Monday night, because that would secure second place in the group. But there is actually a way that Northern Ireland could get that World Cup playoff tonight because of another result. Because if Croatia beat the Faroe Islands in Group L, then Michael O'Neill's team will have a World Cup playoff place secured because of their performance in the recent Nations League campaign. Stuart Dallas and Jerry Armstrong are with me. I think we're forgetting the permutations and the possibilities. Stuart, Northern Ireland will simply be focusing on this game tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's all they can do. I think Michael will be well aware of that. He'll have told the players not to waste energy worrying about what's going on elsewhere. So the players will come here. They turned Slovakia over at home, and another performance they got tonight we would take that.
Jerry, how impressed have you been with Northern Ireland's campaign so far? They must come in with confidence, as Stuart said, beating Slovakia at home.
There's an Ali McCann in there, so it's slightly going to probably be a different approach, but big opportunity. And these players are international players. They're able to deal with that at this level.
How important will Liverpool's Conor Bradley be returning tonight, Jerry?
Listen, he's been our talisman. He's been so exciting. He's playing really well. Watched him against Real Madrid the other week for Liverpool. He was outstanding. I'm hoping he's going to have another game like that tonight. And he can inspire other players around him to perform. And I'm not worried about the changes. I just think the momentum's with us, and we've got to keep positive.
Stuart, can Northern Ireland sneak a away win tonight, do you think?
Absolutely, yeah, but they've got to be disciplined. This Slovakia team will be different from the one that we've seen in Belfast. I expect them to have a lot more of the ball tonight. So Northern Ireland have got to be disciplined, and when they get chances, they put them away. But it's all we can ask is that they bring it back to Belfast on Monday and still be in with a chance of getting the playoff. And if that means a draw, we'll take a draw.
Yeah, let's hope so. Stuart, Jerry, thank you very much indeed. Both part of our coverage tonight, which starts at 7:30. Now, the Republic of Ireland kept their World Cup qualifying hopes alive last night because of a shock result in Dublin. They beat the group leaders Portugal 2-0 at the Aviva Stadium, a game which saw Ronaldo sent off for the first time in his international career. Mark Sidebottom reports.
The challenge of facing opposition they know well, but in conditions which present a serious test.
It was pretty enjoyable out there. Lads got
so it's likely going to be greasy at least. So territory becomes a little bit more important, discipline becomes more important, set piece becomes more important. It's actually rare enough that we play
at the end of the month.
It'll be a great challenge. Obviously been in contact with a fair few of them, and a lot of the players actually have reached out, which has been quite nice, and obviously shows just how good of blokes they are. But obviously this weekend, leading into it, as an Australian we have one job, and that's to, I guess, represent the Wallabies and also get the win. But yeah, look, it's, I guess, cool to be able to play people that you potentially could play with, but playing a test match is the pinnacle of anyone's career, and there's no bigger one than playing at Aviva against Ireland, who are, you know, a really top 3 nation in the world, and they've come a long way and are now a real powerhouse within rugby. So we're just excited, I guess, for the challenge and to right a few wrongs.
For both sides, a win this weekend would mean a lot. But for Ireland, the pressure is really on to perform to their true potential for the first time this autumn. Gavin Andrews, BBC Newsline, Dublin.
Well, in golf, Rory McIlroy shot a second round of 69 today at the DP World Tour in Dubai. That means he heads into the weekend in a share of second place, 3 shots behind the leader.
Yeah, I had to battle a little more today than I did yesterday. The conditions were slightly tougher as well. So, you know, if you looked at the scoring yesterday compared to today, it is a little bit tougher. I felt like I showed my scoring skills today, and, you know, battled well and stayed patient and got the ball up and down when I needed to. And overall, you know, to shoot 69, I'm pretty pleased, you know, considering some of the spots that I found myself. You know, it ended up working well for me, and I shot a decent score.
Take your cue out, Mikey. Finally tonight in Gaelic Games, the semi-finals of the Ulster Club Hurling Championship take place this weekend, and in one of those last 4 matches, the holders Slot Neil take on Portaferry. But that is it from the football arena here in Košice. Big night for Northern Ireland as they take on Slovakia. Do join us live for our coverage on BBC 2 and the iPlayer, 7:30. Back to you.
Thanks, Stephen. Let's get the weather now with Cecilia.
Hello there. We've had quite a lot of rain over the last couple of days, so it was nice to get a bit of a break from the rain this afternoon, and it's still dry in many places this evening. But as the night goes on, that same area of rain is coming back northwards, not everywhere. So most of tonight's wet weather will be across parts of Armagh, County Down, up into Belfast too. A heavy rain warning has been issued for the early hours, particularly across the Mournes area, where on top of the recent rain, it could well lead to some impacts tomorrow morning with localised flooding. It'll be pretty blustery for most of the night, with very strong gusts, especially towards the east coast, and still quite blustery tomorrow, but the winds will gradually ease. The rain is not on for the day. Most of the wet weather will be in the morning across parts of the southeast, locally heavy in and around the Mournes. There could be some localised flooding in places, but as the day goes on, it should turn drier. Quite cloudy skies, maybe hints of brightness in the north in particular, and with those blustery winds, it will feel quite chilly at times. Sunday's the better of the 2 days this weekend. Dry across practically the whole island. Best of the sunshine in the north and in the west. There will be a bit of a breeze coming in from the north, but it won't be particularly strong. But it is coming in from the north, which is a chilly direction, and it will continue to come in from the north next week, dragging even colder air southwards across the island of Ireland. So we do have an area of high pressure trying to nudge in from the west, but there'll also be some showers in the mix as the winds strengthen again. Those showers could well turn increasingly wintry. Not unusual at this time of year to see some wintry weather over the hills and mountains across the island of Ireland, but it will certainly feel very cold next week. You'll be looking for the big coat. Temperatures by day will be below average. There'll be some dry weather around, but it will feel cold in the wind, and we could well see some frost and ice at night, as well as a bit of wintriness, particularly over the higher ground. Enjoy your weekend. Sunday's the better day.
That's it for now, but don't turn over just yet. Children in Need is coming up next on BBC One. We'll be back at 10:30, and you can keep up to date with the BBC News NI website and with Radio Ulster. Have a really great weekend. Bye-bye.